So there it is in black and white, the Trump campaign being told that the Russian government wanted to help their effort. And there's other references in here to alerting Mr. Trump through his personal assistant, but I wanted to go to you first, Don Jr. And Don Jr., instead of calling the FBI, instead of alerting authorities to this effort by the Russian government, took the meeting, as we know now.
And the response, which is important, so that email that you just read from was June 3rd at 10:36 in the morning. At 10:53 the same morning, less than 20 minutes later, Don Jr. responds to Rob Goldstone and, among other things, says, "If it's what you say, I love it."
Timing is a constant theme in this report. The week after the Democratic convention, Mueller writes, candidate Trump made this controversial statement.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
Now, President Trump has repeatedly insisted this was a joke. But Mueller writes, within 5 hours of candidate Trump saying those words, the GRU targeted Clinton's personal office for the first time.
First, our investigation found that the Russian government interfered in our election in sweeping and systematic fashion.
And if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
The president has admitted to asking the president of Ukraine to take actions which would benefit him politically. The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections. Therefore, today, I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. I'm directing our 6 committees to proceed with their investigations under that umbrella of impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
So here we have the President of the United States engaged in a shakedown of a foreign president, a President of the United States, even as he is withholding vital military support to an ally, asking a favor of that ally to investigate his opponent. And just by way of background here, so we know what's at stake, in 1994, we tried to get Ukraine to give up nuclear weapons it inherited from the Soviet Union. They were reluctant to do so because those weapons might be a guarantee against aggression by their neighbor, that is, by the Soviet Union. But we and our allies persuaded the Ukrainians nonetheless to give up those weapons, and we assured Ukraine that we would help guarantee its territorial integrity. Well, Russia would then invade Ukraine. And over the years since that invasion, the United States has provided, albeit not enough, military support to Ukraine. But the most recent support to Ukraine was held up by this president, hundreds of millions of dollars, for reasons that the president would not and the secretaries were not able to communicate even to leaders of their own party, like Mitch McConnell, who said yesterday that he couldn't find out why this aid was being withheld. Well, I think we know why the aid was being withheld, notwithstanding the president's now conflicting explanations. Well, it was because we wanted them to investigate corruption. No, it was because we wanted Europe to give them more money, even though Europe has given them even more than we have. I think we know why the president was withholding that assistance. But regardless, Ukraine understood exactly what was being asked of it. Ukraine understood exactly what they needed from the United States, and that a president of the United States would interfere with our national security, would interfere with the national security of our ally, and do so for the illicit purpose of trying to advance his election campaign, having already sought foreign help in his first presidential campaign, would now abuse the power of his office yet again, this time to seek the help of another nation in his presidential campaign, is the most fundamental betrayal of his oath of office. But you, Director, made the decision. You made the decision to withhold it from the committee for a month when the White House had made no claim of executive privilege, when the Department of Justice said, you don't have to give it to them, but you can. You made the decision not to.
No, it's not true, sir. What the Office of Legal Counsel said, that it does not meet the legal definition of urgent concern.
So it said you're not required. It didn't say you cannot provide it. It said you're not required to. That is, if you don't want to, we're not going to force you. You're not required. But it didn't say you can't. Am I right?
It allowed me, and I said that in my opening statement, but even so, it was referred to the FBI for investigation, and I was endeavoring to get the information to you, Mr. Chairman, but I could not forward it as a member of the executive branch without executive privileges being addressed. And I feel that the White House counsel was doing the best that they could in order to get that, and it took longer than I would have liked, that's for sure, but that came to a conclusion yesterday with the release of the transcripts, and because the transcripts were released, then no longer was there a situation of executive privilege, and I was then free to send both the Inspector General's cover letter and the complaint to you.
Dr.
But there's no time was there any intent on my part, sir, ever, to withhold the information from you as the chair, this committee, or the Senate Intelligence Committee?
Director, I wish I had the confidence of knowing that but for this hearing, but for the deadline that we were forced to set with this hearing, that we would have been provided that complaint. But I don't know that we would have ever seen that complaint. Dr. Wenstrup.
China should start an investigation into the Bidens.
While facing an impeachment inquiry for privately asking Ukraine to investigate a political rival, the president publicly invited China to do the same.
What happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
It is illegal to accept help from a foreign entity in a U.S. election.
This is deeply, deeply troubling.
Mr. Trump has repeatedly claimed that former Vice President Joe Biden's son Hunter profited from business dealings in China while his father was in office. Companies associated with the younger Biden have done business in China over the past decade, but there is no evidence he made a profit or that his father traded favors to help him. President Trump also did not mention how his two sons are in charge of the Trump Organization, which continues to do business in dozens of countries, and his daughter Ivanka, despite working in the White House, continues to do business in China. As for his call with the Ukrainian president that launched the impeachment inquiry, the president not only defended it, he doubled down.
If they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens.
And Ukraine's prosecutor general announced today it would be reviewing cases having to do with the energy firm linked to Hunter Biden, though they noted they have no evidence of wrongdoing.